Alright, friendos. Saturday. You already know the drill. Well, I guess Sunday. No, this goes up on Saturday. I'm losing my mind a little bit. You already know. Should you make? This time featuring the lovely Gunslinger. If you know what my Gunslinger is modeled after, +1 to you, you are the best, etc. Gunslinger as an alt, should you make it? Yes, no, maybe so. I'm going to be going over primarily Peacemaker in this video because that's the spec that I primarily play, though I have played Time to Hunt a little bit. Messed around with it mostly in Trixion. Haven't played it outside of it because Fions to regear, etc. You know the drill. Before we get into the video though, if you like the video, and of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button. We're getting close to 750. That's the goal for the end of the year. Love you all. XOXO. Gossip Girl. Alright, so what is Gunslinger? Gunslinger is your typical shooty with gun build class character man. It has the pistols, it has the shotgun, and it has the sniper rifle. Wowie wow. Very cool, very cool. What is the identity? Well, the identity is literally what I just showed you. Switching between your weapons. Your pistols, your shotguns, and your rifle. So the identity is something you'll interact with quite literally all the time while you play this character. And it's nothing more than just the 3 different guns. For relic set, you really have 2 options for both engravings. You either go Nightmare or you go Poem of Salvation. There is some weird, like, specialized, I don't even remember what the set they used is, but it's like a 4-piece Nightmare, 2-piece something set for Time to Hunt. I don't know about that. I just remember reading about it. But the point is, maybe you can do some weird stuff if you really want to. What is the difference between Time to Hunt and Peacemaker? Peacemaker just buffs all of your guns when you weapon swap, so you gain attack speed. When you're in pistol stance, you gain crit rate and damage in shotgun, and you gain damage or execute damage in sniper stance. And you can see it applies a buff for 9 seconds, so it incentivizes you to constantly keep swapping your weapons to maintain the buff. Attack speed, crit damage, and then damage, execute damage, I'm just gonna call it, make it easier. The class doesn't really have any, like, super big gimmicks. It's just a debuff, buff yourself, do damage class. That's like it. That's as far as it goes. I guess the main gimmick for Peacemaker is the fact that you have to maintain the buff by constantly weapon swapping. But that's an engraving choice. For Time to Hunt, the other class engraving, sorry, let me open this menu here. Time to Hunt increases your handgun and rifle skills crit rate by a significant amount. You want to run Time to Hunt 3 because that makes you not need to stack crit, but it takes away your shotgun stance, so it makes it a bit easier to play. And you primarily do all of your damage in sniper stance, so if you like the sniper rifle and don't care too much for the shotgun and want something more chillax, I highly recommend trying Time to Hunt. It is pretty chill and fun, which is like the opposite of Peacemaker, which is not very chill. It is fun, but if you don't have the muscle memory and you don't know what to press, when to press it, and you have to think about it, it definitely does take a bit of getting used to. That being said, Peacemaker isn't like exceptionally hard. It is definitely harder, and one of the harder specs in the game to play, to be sure. Because there's a lot of animation lock with Gunslinger, which is another thing I'll talk about in a bit. But if you don't want a super complex shotgun, and you don't like shotguns, but you like snipers, try Time to Hunt. For Peacemaker, I do have a little bit too much crit, but for Peacemaker, you want to distribute your stats between mainly crit, as much spec as you want, because spec just makes you hit harder, and then some swiftness, if you like swiftness. Swiftness and spec can be kind of your discretion, kind of how much you want in each. Spec gives you more damage, swiftness makes the playstyle feel smoother, and less cooldown waiting. Crit is just important. I have too much crit. Again, I assume if you choose this as an alt, I recommend you doing some research into what kind of stat priorities you want. For time to hunt, it is much the same, except flipped. You stack spec because it increases your rifle skill damage, and that's something you want, obviously, since all of your damage comes from rifle skills, so you stack spec. And then you split it between crit and swift, depending on how you want. If I played time to hunt, though, I would stack spec and crit, because you need to crit on your sniper skills, and it gives you a base of 45 crit, so it's not quite enough to get it close to 100, so you need a bit more crit. That is to say, I would go spec and crit if you're time to hunt, primarily spec. It's a spec class, but it doesn't play like one, which is interesting. So if you wanted to play time to hunt and you're kind of hesitant because you heard me say spec, it's not like a traditional spec class. Time to hunt is very chill. The rotation is literally just you debuff, and then you go to rifle and use all your rifle skills, because these are all your damaging skills. And then when you use all your rifle skills, you swap back to pistol, and then you just use your filler pistol skills. It's very chill, not much more thought than that. I played this class up to 1450 and kept it there for a good while. As Peacemaker, it's pretty strong up until 1450. It starts to fall off after that a bit, until you get your relic set online. And then, once you invest into it properly, it gets, you know, moderately strong again. I won't say it's, like, super strong, because it's not, but the longer a fight goes on, the stronger you feel, because obviously when the boss is under 50% health, you start getting that execute damage from your rifle skills, and that's when you start doing a lot of your damage, which is why Trixie on DPS, again, is really bad for Gunslinger, and I wouldn't recommend testing it since you're missing out on all your execute damage in Trixion. And that is, honestly, a very big portion of Gunslinger's damage. Is it cheap to build? Time to hunt used to be very cheap. I'm not sure anymore. I still assume it is because it's not the meta engraving. And Peacemaker, honestly, isn't that expensive to build. I just built a 4x3 +2/+1. This isn't meta, but it's not terrible. I mean, it is one of the meta builds, but I do believe Peacemaker 3 inches out a bit. And then having Adrenaline is your +1/+2, obviously. In any case, I don't think either spec is too expensive to play, or too expensive to gear. Peacemaker is more than Time to Hunt, but I think they're both relatively realistic. It's not like a Deathblow or Demonic Impulse if you're going for 5x3. So let's just kind of do a little rotation, just so you can kind of see what Peacemaker looks like. You apply your debuff, this is your crit debuff, and then you use this, which gives you attack speed and move speed, and then you use your highest damaging abilities, which is going to be Focus Shot and then Target Down. And then I drop one of those, debuff, go back into Rifle, and then I use my 2 shotgun skills. And then a little bit of that. Then I use my filler pistol skills, and it's just kind of like that. That's like the Peacemaker rotation. It's nothing crazy. Your rifle skills do the most damage, and you just kind of sit in pistol to use your fillers. Kind of like that. But you can kind of see. It's not the most complicated, but it's also a lot of muscle memory, and you will certainly need to get used to it if you want to play this, especially when you're playing like raids and stuff, and you can't really think about what you're doing. You just need to do the things you need to do without thinking about it. But you can also see there's a lot of animation lock with this class, and that is a big problem that I have with it. If you do not like being locked in long animations like this, would not recommend this as an alt or a character to play, because there's many times where you will get yourself into a position where you're stuck in an animation and you need to roll out, and then you immediately get stuck into another animation and you can't roll because it's on cooldown, and then you either take a lot of damage or die. It's a lot of getting used to that kind of stuff, but ultimately it's not terrible. It's just definitely a learning curve you need to get over. The learning curve gets lessened if you use time to hunt and play time to hunt instead. But the animation locks still do exist in the sniper stance. The pistol stance, there's not very many animations locks, and they're mostly smooth, but there's a couple. But ultimately, do I suggest this class as an alt? I mean, yeah, if it looks interesting to you, I certainly won't say don't play it, because that's ridiculous. If a class looks interesting to you, always give it a try, regardless of what people say. And I think as far as alts go, you could definitely do worse than a Gunslinger. So, I would say tentative, yes. Absolutely make it as an alt. Asterisk. I think that about does it for Gunslinger. I think I got pretty much everything I wanted to say out. Ultimately, I enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it early on because, again, learning curve. But the more you play it and the more you put into it, the better it feels and the better you feel on it. And with that, like the video if you like the video, dislike it if you dislike it. We love MapleStory login music. Subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Brother Chris out. Bye.